Because we live in the dumbest timeline and the universe seems intent on punishing all of humanity, the possibility of a Donald Trump speakership in the House just took one step closer to becoming a reality. He spoke with Fox Digital today, saying, "I have been asked to speak as a unifier because I have so many friends in Congress. If they don't get the vote, they have asked me if I would consider taking the speakership until they get somebody longer term because I am running for president. They've asked me if I would take it for a short period of time for the party until they come to a conclusion. I'm not doing it because I want to. I'll do it if necessary, should they not be able to make their decision." He added that if Republicans can't come to a consensus, he would take the speakership for a short 30, 60, or 90-day period. And as we all know, wannabe autocrats are very trustworthy when it comes to self-imposed limits on their own power. According to reporting, Trump would likely visit the Capitol next week where he would pitch himself as a speaker candidate. It would likely have to take place on Tuesday when the full Republican conference meets for an internal candidate forum. The conference is then reportedly set to vote on an internal speaker election on Wednesday. Trump had come out yesterday before he offered his full-throated support for this idea, saying, "A lot of people have been calling me about speaker. All I can say is we'll do whatever is best for the country and for the Republican Party." Because nothing would be better for the country than putting a 91-charge criminal defendant third in line to the presidency, and nothing would be better for the Republican Party than putting the guy in charge who oversaw losses in the House, Senate, and White House during his own term. Real win-win on both counts. Now, a few caveats here. First, the House has never elected a speaker who wasn't a member of Congress, even if there's no rule precluding lawmakers from doing so. Second, it would also require a near full consensus in the Republican conference. They can afford to lose all of 5 votes, assuming every Democrat votes against Donald Trump, which, let's be honest, would be exactly what happened. And while this move would certainly placate the far-right extremists in the Republican conference, which are effectively most members of that conference, think about those 18 Republicans currently sitting in districts that Biden won in 2020. One would imagine that the last thing that they would want to be associated with as we head into 2024 is making an indicted criminal defendant and least popular politician in the country the third in line to the presidency. And third, there's actually a rule put in place by Republicans that would prevent Trump from serving as speaker. Rule 26, temporary step aside of a member of leadership who is indicted. A member of the Republican leadership shall step aside if indicted for a felony for which a sentence of 2 or more years imprisonment may be imposed. Although, let's be honest, we would be more likely to watch the sun burn out tomorrow than to see Republicans put a rule above their fealty to Donald Trump. But a counterpoint to all of those caveats, we should never underestimate the dumbest possible thing happening in politics in this country in 2023. This is a party that almost unanimously supported Trump during all of his other ventures. A party that lines up behind the guy like lemmings regardless of what crimes he commits, what vulnerable groups he attacks, and what offensive things he says. The notion that when push came to shove, any Republican could find the backbone necessary to speak out against their party's God King is about as likely as Trump winning the nomination for the Democratic Party. So if he actually does decide to run, just watch as the obedient little sycophants fall in line one by one. In fact, we're already seeing it. Far-right Texas Republican Troy Nehls has already announced that he'll nominate Trump when the speakership comes up for a vote, saying, quote, "This week, when the U.S. House of Representatives reconvenes, my first order of business will be to nominate Donald J. Trump for Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives. President Trump, the greatest president of my lifetime, has a proven record of putting America first and will make the House great again." And of course, who else but Marjorie Taylor Greene was also among the first to profess her undying fealty, tweeting, "The only candidate for speaker I'm currently supporting is President Donald J. Trump. He will end the war in Ukraine, he will secure the border, he will end the politically weaponized government, he will make America energy independent again, he will pass my bill to stop transgender surgeries on kids and keep men out of women's sports, he will support our military and police, and so much more. He has a proven 4-year record as President of the United States of America. He received a record number of Republican votes of any Republican presidential candidate. We can make him speaker and then elect him as president. He will make America great again." I mean, my God, even the North Korean state TV lady would listen to Marjorie Taylor Greene grovel at Trump's feet and be like, "Girl, chill." Now, thus far, 2 Republicans have formally thrown their hats into the ring, Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise. And this goes without saying, but nothing would clear the field quicker, including with Scalise and Jim Jordan, than Trump announcing his intention to be elected to the role. And it's already become clear that even the rumors of a Trump run are already eclipsing coverage about anyone else.
McCarthy will not seek the speakership again. Now, sources telling me at this hour some House Republicans have been in contact with and have started an effort to draft former President Donald Trump to be the next speaker. And I have been told that President Trump might be open to helping the Republican Party, at least in the short term, if necessary, if it's needed. I've now heard from a number of people. I know for a fact Donald Trump has been contacted about possibly him being an interim speaker. Is that a reality?
I don't know. He'd be great, but I want Donald Trump to be the next president of the United States. If he wants to be speaker,
great.
Great.
Still,
but,
I'll be clear.
I want him to be president of the United States.
For president. He's still going to be running for president.
All right. That's where we need him, is at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. If he wants to be speaker, then that's fine too.
All right. Well, I think you do want to temporarily to.
You can't do them at the same time. You can't do them at the same time. I get that.
You probably could. All right.
You could clearly see how tortured this response by Jim Jordan was, because on one hand, he himself wants this role, but on the other hand, he is still a Republican, and the sole guiding principle of any Republican is to profess complete and total loyalty to Donald Trump. I guess things can get tricky when your wings are clipped by the same cult that you helped create. And look, I'm going to be completely honest, had you asked me a few days ago, as the GOP was still reeling from the humiliation of ousting their own speaker, making history in doing so, and yet again putting their inability to function on full display, I'd have said, surely there's no way that they could follow that historic misstep with an even worse one. But I should probably remind myself that no one ever lost money betting on Republican insanity, because I do think there is a decent chance that Trump could actually try to make this happen. And if he wants it, I'm almost certain that his party wouldn't have the spine to prevent it. Think about it. When has Donald Trump not wanted to be the center of attention? When has Donald Trump not wanted power? When has he not sought to insert himself in front of every decision made by his party? He was basically serving as the shadow Speaker of the House anyway, considering McCarthy could hardly eat lunch without getting permission from Donald Trump first. This would effectively just cut out the middleman. And it would come at a time when Trump desperately needs to reassert himself. He spent the last few days in a courtroom in the New York Attorney General's civil trial against him, a case that he already lost, considering the facts against him were that beyond dispute, and so now they're just determining damages. And he'll spend the first half of 2024 defending himself in D.C. for trying to overturn the election, in Florida for stealing classified documents from the White House, in Fulton County, Georgia for a racketeering scheme to interfere in the election as well, and in Manhattan for his illegal hush money payouts to Stormy Daniels. If anyone is in need of a title that isn't criminal defendant, it's probably Donald Trump. With that said, while a Donald Trump speakership would be akin to lighting Washington, D.C. on fire, let's not pretend that it really changes anything. Regardless of who Republicans nominate, whether it's Steve Scalise or Jim Jordan or Donald Trump, the fact is they will continue their sprint to the far right to traffic openly and shamelessly in dysfunction. Let's be clear, the lesson they will take from McCarthy's overthrow is that somehow they were being too moderate. Keeping the government functioning and open was somehow a betrayal of conservative values, which somewhere along the line meant that the government has to be steeped in extremism and paralysis. And so next time, regardless of who the speaker is, mark my words, they would faster let the government shudder than offer a single concession to Democrats. They will use any vehicle they can to shoehorn in a far-right agenda that the vast majority of Americans oppose, even if it means hundreds of thousands of Americans will be without a paycheck, because their goal is not helping people or lowering costs or strengthening the economy. Their goal is to impose their unpopular will onto everyone by any means necessary. It is power and control, period. So I hope people watching, left, right, or center, can see clearly what happens when Republicans take power. Remember that with the exact same margin that Republicans currently have, Democrats passed the Inflation Reduction Act, the American Rescue Plan, the Infrastructure Package, the Gun Safety Law, the PACT Act, the CHIPS and Sciences Act, reauthorized the Violence Against Women Act, and codified marriage equality into federal law. With the same size majority, we're now a full year into a 2-year cycle, and Republicans still don't even have a speaker. I don't know how to make this any clearer. These people cannot be trusted to govern, and they're proving that to us at every single turn. And in fact, nothing drives that point home more than the prospect of Donald Trump becoming Speaker of the House. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to the channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.